This is no ordinary train. This is the legendary Orient Express, witness to many strange adventures and foreign intrigues. From Istanbul to Calais. This is no ordinary passenger.
Monsieur Poirot is a detective.
This is the world's most celebrated crime fighter.
I take a professional interest in crime.
Agatha Christie's brilliant Belgian detective.
Oh, Belgians? I always thought you were French.
Albert Finney is Detective Hercule Poirot. This is no ordinary mystery.
Touch nothing.
This is Agatha Christie's most perfect crime. Murder on the Orient Express. Starring the greatest cast of suspicious characters ever involved in murder.
The murderer is with us now. You can identify the murderer?
Lauren Bacall.
I mean nothing of the kind. I mean there was a man in my compartment last night.
Monsieur.
Martin Balsam.
She did it.
Thou shalt not kill.
Ingrid Bergman. Jacqueline Bisset.
He makes it sound like a poison.
Jean-Pierre Cassel.
Monsieur Hercule Poirot?
Sean Connery.
How did you know? Beddoes.
John Gielgud.
Mr. Beddoes. He did it. The butler did it.
Wendy Hiller.
You never smile, Madame Defenses.
My doctor has advised against it.
Anthony Perkins.
Seems like I'm kind of incriminating myself.
Vanessa Redgrave.
Not now. Not now. When it's all over, when it's behind us.
Rachel Roberts.
And I
Richard Widmark.
show you this.
Michael York.
He did it.
The Who's Who in the Who Done It.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now come to my own reconstruction of the night of the murder.
Murder on the Orient Express.
The indomitable Miss Marple. The inimitable Agatha Christie. An incomparable combination that signposts murder. Murder at the Gallery. Agatha Christie must have had Margaret Rutherford in mind when she wrote her fascinating murder series around that lovable busybody, Miss Marple. Miss Marple, who could smell a murder a mile away.
Oh, now look, Miss Marple, enough is enough.
A wealthy old gentleman with a weak heart and a pathological horror of cats. What easier than for some interested party to slip a cat into the house? A cat that the old man will come upon unexpectedly. Yes, old Enderby was frightened to death.
Meet Robert Morley, landlord of the Gallup Hotel, one of Miss Marple's admirers. He was also one of her suspects.
Oh! Ow! Oh!
Flora Robson, as the frightened companion to the late Aunt Cora. Perhaps she knew too much.
What did you hear?
Oh, Miss Marple, I'm afraid. I'm terribly afraid.
Also starring Charles Tingwell as Inspector Craddock. Katya Douglas, an interested party in the murder at the Gallup.
You're a dangerous woman, Rosamond. I hope you never want anything of mine.
Mrs. Lanscony?
Miss Marple, murder and mayhem. They go together in Murder at the Gallup. The intrepid Miss Marple.
You were greedy enough to kill for it. That picture is worth a fortune.
So where is it?
What are you doing?
The fearless Miss Marple, who endangers her life in the search for the murderer at the Gallup Hotel.
Is that you, Inspector? Miss Marple here. Please forgive the lateness of the hour, but as it happens, I have the evidence I've been looking for. I know who the killer is.
Witness for the prosecution. The most electrifying entertainment of our time. The stunning climax to a half-century of motion picture suspense. The setting is London. The story, two people in love. A murder and a trial, climaxed by the 10 most breath-stopping minutes you've ever lived. The cast, Tyrone Power, in love with a woman who holds his life in her beautiful hands. Charles Lawton, in the most scintillating role of his brilliant career. Marlene Dietrich, the woman of mystery, a fascinating question mark.
Mrs. Vole, do you love your husband?
Leonard thinks I do.
Well, do you?
Am I already under oath?
We are dealing with a capital crime. The prosecution will try to hang your husband.
Betty, bye. We'd better go upstairs now. Get undressed and lie down.
What a nauseating prospect. How did you get hold of these?
What difference does it make so long she gets what's coming to her?
What have you got against her?
I'll give you something to dream about, mister. Want to kiss me, ducky?
Witness for the prosecution.
You killed Emily French.
No, I didn't. I didn't do it. I didn't kill her. I never killed anybody.
The question is, Frau Helm, were you lying then? Are you lying now? Or are you not, in fact, a chronic and habitual liar?
Damn you. Damn you. Leave her alone. Damn you.
Members of the jury, are you all agreed upon your verdict?
We are.
Do you find the prisoner at the bar, Leonard Stephen Vole, guilty or not guilty of the murder of Emily Jane French?
Guilty or not guilty? The answer to that question is the end of most mystery stories. But in witness for the prosecution, it is only the beginning of a series of climaxes that I defy you to guess. You'll talk about this picture all right, but you'll never tell the ending to your friends, because you won't want to spoil their excitement and their fun.
Something magical about an island.
Yeah, like a little world of its own.
How would you like to spend your last days here?
Oh, no thanks. I think a weekend will be enough. 10 little Indians.
One choked his little self, and then there were 9.
Uh-huh. Go on.
One overslept himself, and there were 8.
Mr. Owen is one of us.
You have to do that? I'm just studying Mr. Owen's little scheme. Maybe you know how the general was killed. My dear Blore, can't you read? 8 little Indian boys traveling in Devon. One said he'd stay there, and then there were 7.
7 little Indians left.
6. One is bogus.
Correct, sir. One of us is Mr. Owen.
Which one?
7 little Indian boys chopping up sticks. One chopped himself in half, and then there were 6.
There are 5 of us left. One of us is a murderer.
I get it.
One little Indian boy left for Oi, Usher. So he went and hanged himself, and then there were none.
Murder.
Now, join the most brilliant detective of all time,
Hercule Poirot,
on a mysterious journey down the Nile to the great wonders of the world, where the biggest wonder of them all is whodunit.
I feel the presence of evil all about me.
Agatha Christie's Death on the Nile, starring Peter Ustinov.
With me, it's the exercise of the little gray cells.
And 9 star suspects. Betty Davis.
You perfectly foul French upstart.
Belgian upstart, please, mother.
Mia Farrow.
I just want to put this gun right against her head. And then ever so gently pull the trigger.
Angela Lansbury.
You see, I know all I tell you.
David Niven.
She must have known something about Annette Doyle's murderer.
Maggie Smith.
But why should I kill Mrs. Doyle?
George Kennedy.
You can't pin that on me. Me?
Jack Warden.
So now you think that I?
Olivia Hussey. Lois Childs in Agatha Christie's
Jackie!
Death on the Nile.
You know, Poirot, the way I see it, everybody could have done it. And everybody had a reason for doing it. Of course. So you think you know, huh?
I know. This place is beginning to resemble a mortuary.
You see, we have been running in the wrong direction, you and I. We know almost all there is to know, except that what we know seems incredible. It's incredible.
Preposterous.
Outrageous.
Now, the most daring, the most deadly case of his career challenges Hercule Poirot.
And it was carefully planned.
To guess who in the world done it.
But I, Hercule Poirot, have eyes which notice everything.
Mystery in first class. Murder with style. Agatha Christie's Death on the Nile.
Bon appétit, Monsieur Poirot. Merci, Hyacinthe. Oh, I do not think that formal introductions are necessary. Poirot, Hercule Poirot. There are those who have called me the greatest detective of all time, a description with which I find it difficult to quarrel. But even a great detective must at times recharge the little gray cells. And I recently took my vacation on an Adriatic island so remote as to be unknown even to the guide Michelin.
I hope you haven't come here to practice your sleuthing games on my guests. They've all got far too many skeletons in their cupboards.
Arlena is my wife. That's all there is to it.
Till death do you part. Even in those days, she could always throw her legs up in the air higher than any of us. And wider.
Patrick, aren't you getting a little tired of rowing?
I'm so sorry. Are we late? Patrick insisted upon rowing me right round the island as hot figures in a report. Poor darling, he's absolutely exhausted.
Not in the least surprised.
She's been murdered.
What the hell do we do now, Odell?
Just leave it to me.
Do you know what I'm most sick of in this place?
What, madame?
Pity. can't bear to be pitied.
Oh, my. I'm the last to arrive.
I'm sorry, Sir Horace, but it's my duty to put it to you that you were furious. You lost your temper. You strangled her.
That is poppycock! That is poppycock!
I wish you to consider very carefully a bathing cap, a bath, a bottle, a wristwatch, the diamond, the noonday gun, the breadth of the sea, and the height of the cliff.
You just wait. Get it right. Linda, you tell her to tell him the truth.
But with Hercule Poirot, mysteries never last very long. You are skeptical. Well, perhaps you would care to pit your wits against mine. Bonne chance, mes amis.
Ladies and gentlemen, Agatha Christie.
On a December night in 1926, the most successful mystery novelist of all time, Agatha Christie, vanished without a trace. What actually happened remains a mystery.
You are like your books after all. Always a surprise ending.
Agatha. Rated PG. Opening Friday at theaters near you. Check newspapers for a local listing.
You saw that, didn't you? Didn't you? Do you think anyone will believe us? A woman has been strangled. I saw it.
Strangled?
Yes, strangled.
Madam, don't you think perhaps you had a little nap and maybe had a bad dream?
Young man, I was not dreaming. I saw it. Ask them. They saw it happen. What did I tell you? Nobody is going to believe us. Even my friend Mr. Stringer will have his doubts. Mr. Stringer, will you kindly give me a leg up?
Certainly, Miss Marple,
Please, Mr. Stringer. And as for the police, well, they're positively insulting.
I assure you, Miss Marple, that a woman cannot be murdered on a busy train a few minutes before a station without our finding out about it.
I'm quite sure you mean well, Inspector. But if you imagine that I am going to sit back and let everybody regard me as a dotty old maid, you are very much mistaken.
Looking for something, Miss Marple?
Father, this is Miss Marple. Jane.
Plainer Jane, I've never set eyes on in my life.
Only Agatha Christie, who authored Witness for the Prosecution, can mix murder and mirth with such hilarious abandon. To meet the inimitable Margaret Rutherford is to know the indestructible Miss Marple.
Who's that? Who is it?
To meet Arthur Kennedy, Muriel Pavlo, and James Robertson Justice is to know a bestseller thriller with real-life intimacy.
I think someone in the family may be a murderer.
What happens when a murderer knows he's discovered?
Come out at once.
And only Miss Marple stands in his way.
Well, if they won't believe us, we'll just have to go and solve this crime ourselves, won't we?
The quaint village of St. Mary Mead, England, home of Agatha Christie's extraordinary sleuth, Miss Marple, is in for some excitement. Hollywood has invaded, and a great American star is about to make her comeback. But she's not the only one.
A little bit closer, please, ladies.
When massive doses of ego...
Lola, dear, you know there are really only two things I dislike about you.
Really? What are they?
Your face.
mix with lethal traces of poison, there's no business like show business.
Come
Katrina.
Poison! Somebody's trying to kill me, aren't they? Aren't they? I know it.
I can feel it. I can almost hear them coming. Danger in the dark. MGM 1932.
Against such rave performances, even two of the world's greatest detectives are baffled.
Murder is a very dangerous business. If one gets mixed up in it, one must be prepared for the consequences.
In fact, they hardly stood a chance. Until the moment, the mirror cracked.
Of course. He always did have the class of a toad.
And he's putting up the money for your comeback, so you'd better calm down.
And putting that peroxide floozy into my film. And as the Virgin Queen.
Maybe we should bring in Alexander for my hair.
Lamb chop, if I told you once, I told you 1,000 times. Queen Elizabeth was bald.
Not in this movie, she ain't.
The idea of someone wanting to murder your wife doesn't bother you? You've been seeing too many Charlie Chan movies, Inspector.
We'll be together always.
Till death do us part.
Why'd you say that?
Elizabeth Taylor, Tony Curtis, Kim Novak, Edward Fox, Rock Hudson, Geraldine Chaplin, and Angela Lansbury as Miss Marple.
Very simple. If only one looks at it the proper way.
Agatha Christie's mystery classic, The Mirror Cracked. If you guess who done it, you may be next.
The world of the cinema, the village, it's all quite the same, really.
She could be wrong, you know.
She's not. I've seen the picture.
The Mirror Cracked.
Snake-eyed son of a...